In this video, we're going to talk about noodles. We're going to answer 3 questions. How are noodles made? What is the history of noodles? And finally, how many countries eat noodles and which countries? So without further ado, let's get started with the video. Okay, so before we continue with the history and the countries that eat noodles, let's take a look at how noodles are made, because there are 2 types of noodles, dried noodles and fresh noodles. Let's start with dried noodles. The process starts with mixing all the ingredients together. You have your flour, water, maybe some oil or salt depending on what type of noodle you want to make. It's important that these ingredients are mixed well. Then once you have even pieces, you roll them out, and you roll them out until it's thin. Sometimes people also add like egg and stuff like that. Then once you have a really thin sheet of dough, you cut them up into little noodles. Now the thing about these noodles is that they will stick together, so you have to put some sort of oiling agent in there to stop them from sticking together. Once that is done, they are then dried. This could be done by air drying them or machine drying them. Nowadays, of course, they also come in different shapes. It doesn't always have to be just round noodles, right? They can be flat, they can be wide, they can be square. It all depends on what type of noodle you want to make. Now, fresh noodles, of course, do not go through the whole drying process. All you need to do is mix your ingredients, knead them well, let them rest for a bit. And after that, you can either roll them out by hand or use a pasta maker if you have one, cut them up into the shape that you want. And voila, you have your noodles. But the difference between fresh noodles and dry noodles is that fresh noodles usually don't last as long. Dry noodles can last for months, but fresh noodles, they might only last for days or even hours. So you really have to consume them quickly. Of course, you can freeze them and keep them for a longer period of time, but the quality won't be as good. Now, moving on to the history of noodles. Noodles have a very ancient history dating back thousands of years. One of the earliest evidence of noodles was found in China, and it dates back to around 4000 BC. There are a few theories as to how noodles were invented. One theory is that noodles were invented accidentally when someone mixed wheat and water together and then let it ferment. Another theory is that noodles were invented intentionally as a way to use up leftover dough. Whatever the case may be, noodles have been a staple in many cultures for centuries. During the Han Dynasty in China, there were many different types of noodles being eaten. Noodles were made from wheat, rice, millet, and even vegetables. During the Tang Dynasty, noodles became even more popular, and there were even noodle shops and restaurants popping up. In the Middle East, the history of noodles is also very ancient. It is believed that noodles were brought to the Middle East from China along the Silk Road. In Arabic, noodles are called itriji, and they're often made from wheat or rice. In some Middle Eastern countries like Lebanon and Syria, noodles are a staple part of the diet, and they're often served with soups, stews, and sauces. In Southeast Asia, noodles are also very popular, and there are many different types of noodles that are eaten. For example, in Indonesia, there's a dish called mie goreng, which is made with fried noodles. In the Philippines, there's a dish called pancit, which is made with thin noodles and vegetables. And in Malaysia, there is a dish called laksa, which is a spicy noodle soup. In India, the history of noodles is a bit different. Noodles were not really a staple part of the diet, and they were mostly eaten by the Chinese community. However, in recent years, noodles have become very popular in India, and there are many different types of noodles that are now available. In Europe, noodles were introduced by Marco Polo, who brought them back from his travels in Asia. Initially, noodles were not very popular in Europe, but eventually they did become popular, especially in Italy, where pasta is a staple part of the diet. And finally, in the Americas, noodles were brought over by European immigrants, and they quickly became popular. Today, noodles are a staple part of the diet in many American families, and they are often served for lunch and dinner. So now we know a little bit about the history of noodles. Let's talk about how many countries eat noodles. As we mentioned earlier, noodles are very popular all over the world, and they are eaten in almost every country. However, some countries eat noodles more than others. For example, in Japan, noodles are a staple part of the diet, and they are often served for both lunch and dinner. Some of the most popular noodle dishes in Japan include ramen, soba, and udon. Ramen is a noodle soup dish that is made with a broth, noodles, and various toppings such as meat, eggs, and vegetables. Soba is a cold noodle dish that is made with buckwheat noodles, dipping sauce, and various toppings such as tempura and grated yam. Udon is a thick noodle dish that is often served hot, and it is made with wheat flour noodles and various toppings such as tempura and grilled chicken. Another country that is known for its love of noodles is Italy. In Italy, noodles are a staple part of the diet, and they are often served for both lunch and dinner. Some of the most popular noodle dishes in Italy include spaghetti, pizza, and lasagna. Spaghetti is a thin noodle dish that is often served with tomato sauce and meatballs. Pizza is a thick noodle dish that is layered with ingredients such as cheese, sauce, and pepperoni. Lasagna is a baked noodle dish that is layered with ingredients such as cheese, sauce, and meat. China is another country that has a long history of eating noodles, and there are many different types of noodles that are eaten throughout the country. Some of the most popular noodle dishes in China include chow mein, chop suey, and lo mein. Chow mein is a noodle stir-fried dish that is made with egg noodles, vegetables, and proteins such as chicken or pork. Chop suey is a mixed vegetable dish that is made with thin noodles, vegetables, and a gravy sauce. Lo mein is a thick noodle dish that is made with wheat noodles, vegetables, and a variety of proteins. Thailand is another country that is known for its love of noodles. In Thailand, noodles are often served for both lunch and dinner, and some of the most popular noodle dishes include pad thai and khao soi. Pad thai is a stir-fried noodle dish that is made with rice noodles, vegetables, and a peanut sauce. Khao soi is a curry noodle soup that is made with egg noodles, coconut milk, and a variety of toppings such as chicken, fish, or tofu. So as you can see, there are many different countries that eat noodles, and each country has its own unique way of preparing and serving them. We've only covered a few countries in this video, but there are many more countries that could have been included. If you know of any other countries that eat noodles, feel free to share in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope that you learned something new. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe for future videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.